Deuteronomy is the fifth book of the Torah. You have Genesis, covered a lot of the beginning, the early days, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all of that. And you had Exodus, the departure from Egypt, Leviticus, the law, the holiness of God, Numbers, all the wilderness wanderings. Now Deuteronomy is here, and we are talking about the second reading of the law, the reminding of the people of Israel after their 40 years of wandering around in the wilderness that the Lord is God, and what he has commanded is for your own good, to love God, to love people. That is all it is about. Deuteronomy is quoted more by Jesus than any of the other books of the Torah. Moses remembering the journey from Israel, or of Israel, from Mount Sinai to Kadesh Barnea in chapter 1, reminding them of their unbelief and the problems that they had with not entering the land. Chapter 2, remembering the desert years and the march to Canaan, continuing on that, going about their journey. Chapter 3, remembering again Canaan and their defeats of the armies that they've had to deal with. They did a lot of battling. It wasn't like they didn't do any battling at all before they went into the promised land. They did have people out in the wilderness they had to deal with, and there were some people that would come against them because they were, anti what they wanted to do. Moses remembering his plea to enter the promised land. Now, I didn't touch on that too much because when God was directing Moses to voice to the rock, because the first time he was told to strike a rock and water would come out. The second time God said, take the rock and just speak to it and the water will flow. And he didn't do it. He misrepresented God to the people of Israel. And that is a problem that we have. Easily ourselves can make that problem, that mistake of misrepresenting God to people. He's all about love. He's all about grace and mercy and holiness and righteousness, his hatred for sin, but his love for people. And we need to do our best to show that to people. And because of his mistakes there, Moses was not given entry into the promised land, but he was able to see it from up high. Chapter 4, call to obedience, challenging Israel to learn from their mistakes, learn from their adventures, learn from their failures, learn from their accomplishments, which is something we all should take to counsel, which is why I highly recommend journaling. Highly recommend putting your thoughts and prayers into a book that you will keep, and you'll be the only one reading it, but you will write down when you pray things, when the Lord answers those prayers, or how he answers the prayers that you're seeking him for. Chapter 5, remembering the covenant, the 10 Commandments again is reminded there. Chapter 6, Moses reminding Israel of his commandment to love the Lord your God. That is the high mark for Israel, for the Jews. Love the Lord your God. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind. But the importance of remembering that. Then chapter 7, commanding them to conquer in Canaan, to completely wipe out the peoples there because of the sins that they were committing, the idolatry that they were committing. You really get into the history of the people groups that were there, and you're not surprised by that. But you got to remember that Israel was wandering around in the wilderness for 40 years as an example for people on the inside. And even when we get to Jericho and Joshua, you're going to see that God did give them opportunities to repent. And we will get into chapter 8 in the next video. Thank you, my friends.